coming on. This guy has been sending me emails for quite a while. He doesn't abuse it at all. But whenever he sends me one, it's like, oh, because he always comes at me with some really interesting ideas and interesting background. So you're going to have to pronounce your name for the camera. I can't hear you. Uh-oh. He's been in the...
Do you hear me now?
I hear you now.
Good, because it was only from this. So
oh, okay.
No, the reason wasn't any farther away. I am really uncomfortable saying my name for English speakers because I spent 6 months in France a decade ago, and I'm so used to it, people just can't pronounce it. But here we go, Altti Akujärvi.
Wow. I'll just we'll just take that little snippet and maybe Grim Grizz will put that, into a clip, and you'll be
Please don't
memorialized on as branding in Grim Grizzland. So Alti, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so where should I start? Yeah, I've been following you, I think from 2018 or 2017.
Yeah, you were very early.
Yeah, I found you quite early. Originally, my reason why I started following you and YouTube from US was to try to understand that what on earth is wrong with the US Christendom, electing Trump as their president. There's something terribly wrong with you. I'm saying, and I need to know what it is. So that's why I've been following you and many other channels originally. Hey, trying to understand what's wrong with you people.
Well, did you figure it out?
We
won't go there. Anything about Trump is just a hole that everyone goes in and few come out. So
let's not go there.
Let's not go there. But you're still here.
Yeah, I'm still here.
But you're not. Are you still there for all the other channels you started watching?
Not all, but I still follow Pajot. I've found Glenn Shivner with Speak Live. That's really interesting channel. I have dabbled into one of the Randos channels a few years ago, but sadly I haven't had enough time to follow you, this wonderful community that is in the chat, had very more intensely.
Okay.
So
I'm just gonna pull up what you had a Mission Impossible pitch, because you said if I am not selected, this pitch will self-destruct at the beginning of the so okay, you're clearly a Christian.
Yep.
Are you Protestant or Lutheran or something else?
Yeah, so I'm Pentecostal from birth. So my mother has been.
You came out of the womb speaking in tongues?
No, he started speaking in tongues when I was 18. So I'm a late.
You're a late bloomer.
Late bloomer in that. But on theologically, I'm actually quite Lutheran, because Finland is a majority Lutheran country, and it just seeps in him. I'm actually quite liking Jordan B. Cooper's videos, because it's nice to hear young conservative Lutheran who is actually he committed to both his confession and his faith, which in a majority Lutheran country with the cultural split between the conservatism and liberalism and everything is really, well, it makes the situation much more, different, let's say.
And Jordan B. Cooper is I mean, there aren't a lot of that on the internet. I mean, Lutherans, they're kind of, I don't know what's going on with the Lutheran Church, but there's not a that they're very, given the size of the church, they're very underrepresented in places you would expect them to be. So that's sort of why Jordan B. Cooper is pretty important in that space.
Yeah, it might be something to do with the fact that they are very what is it? Sacramental.
Yes.
They are quite sacramental.
Yes.
And they don't do much the what is evangelization is not on the type of evangelization is not what they do is not on the forefront, and not of the same variety that you see that produces YouTube channels. So
right.
Those are perhaps the reasons.
Well, I'm looking for, I in the back of my mind, you had a mission for this, and you often have a lot of really interesting, you point me to a lot of interesting things when you email me. Here's the pitch. Follow the channel since 2018 to better understand U.S. culture, and you clarified that. Had a Randos conversation around Easter 2020. Married 2 children, lifelong Christian, Pentecostal flavor. I would like to talk about is my recent observation that even TLC oh yeah, this is why I really wanted to talk to you, because this gets into Vervaeke's Hermes. Have you followed any of that?
Unfortunately, no. I haven't had time to who follow on Vervaeke for quite some time. I looked 26 episodes of his original series, and I have watched him collaborate with other people, but his own content I haven't had time to watch. So this Hermes, I should have
this is
watched
his conversation with Jordan Peterson recently, where he mentioned
watch that.
that an archetypal presence came in and introduced himself as Hermes. And that very much connects with, and I loved your little comment here. There's been talk about school spirit, etc., which is all well and good and has expanded my understanding of the supernatural, but ignores the truly supernatural, like spirits that can show the seer their future. My father died 2 months ago, and I had to revisit my tribal and family history, which have a stark reminder of the realm of these spirits. Yeah, you got my interest. Let's go.
Okay, so, well, one of the things that just the last month, which brought this up to that I should be talking to you about this, was seeing the one clip from Cosmic Skeptic and Shapiro. They were on speak. Where were they? Unbelievable.
They were on Unbelievable. Yes.
Yeah, the one conversation there which nobody recommended for you because it's not a good conversation. But there was a clip where Alex made a case that on the morality of the Bible on slavery in the Old Testament. But the thing, what really caught my attention was that he said that God has made laws forbidding imaginary crimes like witchcraft. I was like, what?
Huh.
Excuse me. There are so much wrong with that idea, starting from the fact that if there is a supernatural God who has given us the Bible, then clearly there is a supernatural realm, and witchcraft is not an imaginary crime. So
right.
you're really confused with that idea there.
Right.
And then the other part, there was few. I think it was from Glenn Shivner's videos. He has had these comments from public atheists that actually even a supernatural intervention would not make them believe, because they would actually think that it's more plausible that they have gone mad,
right,
than some supernatural being comes and talks to them.
Right.
That would be more plausible. And there I thought, you have not enough imagination. You don't have enough imagination what these things can do. And just to, and the example I wish to give, and this is a very well-known phenomena, uh, uh, but how should I tell it? It's called, it has few names. It has one name is etiäinen, which means something from afar, or it, and then our local in my village it's called elusmies, which means a forerunner.
Huh.
And say what happens. What happened to my once to my uncle when he was a child? His cousin comes to him and says that, "Where is your father? I saw him coming from the he, town by his bicycle. He was already coming back with his bicycle, and he had a gas bottle all with him. He had bought it." And my uncle said, "No, he hasn't come back yet. He hasn't come back." Oh, his cousin went away. He, I thought he already did. He came here. Half an hour later, my grandfather comes with a bicycle, oh, and he has the gas bottle at the back of his bicycle, and it's making noise, which the uh, cousin had heard. So people see things that happen after it.
Mm-hmm.
Eh, Then there was a well-known there was a case that was in our local newspaper. I think it was a few years ago. It was from a recently deceased person who was a well-known story collector, and they asked him a very simple question: were people in the olden days afraid of these forerunners that they saw? And he gave a really simple explanation, answer. Of course, they weren't afraid of them because you didn't know that you were seeing a forerunner. Because what you would see is somebody is coming, and you hear or you see someone coming, and then at the last moment when you are supposed to meet them, you realize there's no one there. And you are surprised. What's happening? You think you have seen things, just imagined things. But then in the next hour, the very same thing will happen. And this is so well known that in a local newspaper, when people can be asked, were people afraid of these things? And he had this his story about a well-respected couple who had heard in the winter these many times these happen in winter because it's easier to know that there was actually nothing there. They heard two people were skiing over the lake, frozen lake. They heard the sound of skiing. And they even heard that people came to on the front of their house, and he pulled up their skis and put them on he by the wall. Cluck, you could hear that sound. No one there. Then they went, what? Didn't we just hear two people coming here? Who are they? Where are they? No ski tracks anywhere. No one has come. Then an hour later, two people, their neighbors, come over the lake. When these professors or these public atheists say that there is nothing that a spirit, a supernatural being can do to make me believe that I have not gone mad, they it's because they think that this is all delusion.
Yeah. Yeah.
On
Yeah.
everything supernatural is just within here.
Yeah.
But these kind of things don't happen when in your head you cannot see the future, at least if you are a materialist. That should not be a possibility. And yeah,
these
yeah,
C.S. Lewis begins Miracles with the same story. Says the only person that I know who claims to have seen a ghost doesn't believe in ghosts. Actually, Malcolm and Simone on their channel this morning, Simone was talking about this, that people have an astounding capacity for complete self-contradiction without any qualms about it. And I've seen that so often in life, where these things happen. They say this would never change me, and it's like, yeah, it might not, but that doesn't say that what you're experiencing isn't real. It just tells me that you're stubborn. I mean, it's just and people are committed to what they're committed to, and if they've staked a lot of reputation on these things aren't real, then so. But at the same time, life is strange. Weird things happen. And we try to create systems to sort of explain it all, but our systems are our systems, and they fall short one way or another. So, but I think this whole area is a constant for human beings. And what got weird is, so the Enlightenment sort of tries to put a line through reality and says, well, here's the Overton window for public discourse, and with some reason. But what's funny is that people sometimes will dismiss Pentecostals because they'll say, well, God can come in and say anything, and the Pentecostals are the ones that come up and say, well, God gave me this dream, or God told me this. I said, yeah, and they live with it without any problem. They all sort of understand. Somebody in church was, God told me to do this, and it's like, okay, I can't say that God didn't tell you to do that, but if God tells me to do it, then maybe we'll talk about it. So it doesn't really change the world the way people expect it will change the world.
Yeah, that's that is also true. That there's one thing to have some understanding or some knowledge of the supernatural, but it's a completely different thing. That actually turn what will that actually do to the person and their beliefs, and also the way they live?
Right.
Because I know people who know that these kind of things exist, but it doesn't make them very Christian,
Right.
or they don't. It doesn't make people faith heads.
Right. Well, and you see that in the Bible. You
Mhm.
see the disciples of Peter. Let's just use Peter. Peter sees Jesus do more miracles than anyone else. And in the Garden of Gethsemane, he crumples. And by the fireside during Jesus' trial, he crumples. And I mean, Jesus sort of flatly confronts the disciples on this many times. And so this week I've got the, stilling the storm on the lake. They're all freaking out in the boat. And Jesus gets up and says, tells the storm to shut up. And he looks at his disciples and is like, what, you've watched me do the most astounding things, and you're freaking out here in the boat. But that's us. That's how we are.
Mm-hmm.
So miracles don't do to us what we think they should.
Yeah, but I would like to add one other thing. We still, I think, have a minute.
Yes.
There is also this question of what makes us believe, and especially on if people are engaging in apologia. How do you actually pronounce
Well,
it?
that's close enough. Poor Grimm is really having trouble with Christian's channel since he put apologia as the as the title. But go on.
Yeah. So apologia. We have this idea that people will come to faith through perhaps apologia. Then there is the popular atheist idea that people come to. Historically, people have been brought to the faith by the sword or some other coercion. But I know for a fact that the reason what that actually made my ancestors to become really Christian and actually stopped trying to work with these spirits, to follow these spirits that create these phenomena. It was actually the idea Christ Victor. What is the
Christus Victor? Yes,
Christus Victor.
Jesus. Yep.
Because that's actually it's part of the Pentecostal how liturgy that we say that God has already won all the works of the devil.
Yes.
We don't have written and dogmas very much, but we do have some liturgy, and that is really part of it.
Yes.
God has already won on Satan and his everything that he has.
Yes.
So the priests who served in Lapland, they wrote in the 17th century that the reason why the locals are still holding on to their drums, their fetishes, their spells, is because they are afraid that that they need the protection of these spirits.
Right.
But it was when they found the protection in Christ, then they could leave behind in the sorcery, the witchcraft, the spirits that you cannot trust.
Yep. And that story has been repeated throughout Christian history. You see it in places in the world where, let's say, animism remains, that part of why people flee to Christ is they finally want an end to living in the chaos of the spirit world, because those spirits are not, they are not your friends, and they will use you. And so that's why people come to Christ, because I just need protection. And so that's a very, very common, and it's historical. It goes the ortho boomer grandma made the point that, there are 3 formal exorcisms at a monastery before an Orthodox baptism. And the in the when we were doing baptisms with the Haitians, they were thrashing in the water. And, I first saw it, it's like, what's this about? And I talked to someone who knew a little bit more, and he was saying, well, the spirits are in the water, and baptism is an exorcism. And, so they're drowning the spirits out of the people. And so, well, Alti, I'm gonna keep. I shouldn't. It's not fair to have you be on late. And there's somebody else that I'm going to bring on in a second here. But any last things you want to say? You don't have a channel or anything like that, so you have nothing you have to pitch. You're just a civilian, right?
Oh, I have a blog in Finnish.
Oh, okay.
Akujarvi.net. You can use Google Translate. It will do decent job these days.
Okay.
So it's just my surname.net without the accent.
Okay. Well, thank you, Alti. Really appreciate this. I'm gonna bring in